Hello. I've decided to make an epilogue to my residency in Cyprus. This is mostly due to the strong impression this time in Cyprus left on me. On a personal level, on a working level, in terms of work, in terms of how I think about things, how I meet people, how I perceive public space as well. So, like, it's continuing. This is probably the main reason. It's going on. Like, this has not finished. It's rather started something actually. So I've decided to visit the countries that at that moment right now claim Cyprus for themselves. So like Turkey and Greece basically. That said, of course, I know that there is a lot of other influences on Cyprus, and that the UN controls part of it, the UK and so on. But it's somehow I felt like I have to come back to Turkey and Greece in a way. So yeah, I flew into Istanbul and now I came down to Anatolia. I'm kind of south, maybe 3 hours from the sea in Eridir. It's a really nice fishing town. It's very relaxing and it's good for blogging basically. So as soon as I was here, I somehow felt like I want to do a blog because Cyprus is resonating, and everything I did there and the people I met, it's like still in me. I was in Lebanon for 2 weeks. And I did like an Arabic, I took some Arabic classes in Lebanese dialect. And also I've met a lot of interesting people there and I had a lot of discussions. So apart from swimming in the lake and walking around and trying to catch up with some, like not catch up, but like trying to learn some Turkish when meeting people, I've also started to read about Turkish history, which obviously is very, like Cyprus history is obviously very connected to Turkish history, but like being here and reading about Turkish history like gives me a different angle again on Cyprus history basically. And I think the main difference, or one difference which seems important, is that Cyprus, in my view, is the conflict in Cyprus really is a colonial conflict. And I've become very interested in this term of colonialism because also Switzerland has a special role and so on and so on. But so Cyprus belonged to the Ottoman Empire and then was leased in 78 was leased to the UK and then officially became an English colony, a British colony at the beginning of World War I, so in 1914. And then was a British colony till the 60s. And Turkey officially never was a colony, but the diversity of the Ottoman Empire, like the ethnic diversity, the religious diversity and so on, was officially ended with a nation state when Kemal Atatürk, aka Atatürk, came to power. And this forming of a nation state really was a reaction, was like based on an ideology imported from the West, like this national consciousness and this ethnic nationalism was really something that the West kind of had founded, and so as a reaction to these strong powers in an international context, Turkey also like tried to form a nation state. I mean, this is one view, I'm sure. There is others, but I almost feel like again Western powers had so much influence on a country, Anyway, so in Lebanon also I discussed, and this goes back now to what I'm thinking about doing for my PhD. And how my PhD as an artist, as an artistic PhD would be different maybe from an academic PhD, hopefully, who knows. So in Lebanon, we had like a few discussions about international relations, and I felt that a lot of academics somehow analyze politics or international relations, but don't really take a stand. I mean, they probably take a stand, but like the main part of the work is to analyze, which of course is totally fine. I'm not saying anything against that. But I just feel I'm really on a more activist and like embodying, how to say, like I'm just on this side of like wanting to physically have like a result. This is also, so let's say if I work in public space, you know, everything becomes political. Every action in public space is political. And is embodied, is like something, it's materializing thought, really. And so I'm just wondering if I use sound art as a research method to research public space, or maybe as a methodology as well, what view could this present, or like how could this influence the dialogue about international relations? So this is like this is kind of my new idea. How can art, in a way, have a different point of view if it's used as a research method in public space on international relations? Voila. Yeah, let's see, you know, like I'm not sure how much sense this blog makes for people who are watching, but for me, this epilogue is really important because I feel it's like learning a new language, you know. When you learn a new language, for example, I was traveling on a night bus from Istanbul to here, and I met this Turkish woman who didn't speak any word of English, and she kind of taught me some words. For example, she said yağmur is rain, or I mean, she didn't say, she said yağmur and made something like that. So when I went to a restaurant today and I spoke to this person who was there, and I told him, look, yağmur is coming, and he's like, evet. So, you know, like I will forever probably remember this word yağmur. And I think it's the same for me with traveling now. It's really important to, because I'm kind of orbiting around Cyprus now, Lebanon, now Turkey, you know, and then I may be going to Greece, who knows, whatever happens, but this is one of the plans. So I'm kind of, making a turn around Cyprus. So I think it's like learning a new language, you know, everything I've been thinking about and I've been reading, now when I travel and I'm here physically in that space and in that public space and meeting the people, it somehow gives it a form and makes it like, it embodies it in myself somehow, you know, like I need to feel it. So in that sense, this epilogue makes a lot of sense to me, at least. It's kind of more effective. Anyway, thank you and goodbye.